And we're back. How are you guys today?
Hey, greetings everyone. We're so glad to be back, right, honey?
Yes, we are.
All right.
Hey, we're Charles.
And I'm Sherry Gordon, and we're the Marriage Mechanics.
Yeah.
We are the founders of Covenant for Life, Marriage Maintenance and Couples Ministry. And we just are coming to you to give you some good old empowerment for your relationships, whether you're married, seriously dating, or engaged, getting ready to get married.
All of the above.
All of that. And if you're single and you happen to run across it, this is great information for you to store in your arsenal for relationships as you begin to build. So we are so glad that you're back. And our topic this week is what, Bonnie? Marriage is work. Marriage is work.
Let's do that again. Marriage is work.
Work.
You got to put in the work.
Put in the work.
Guys and gals.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And you know, a lot of times when people get married, you know, we always hear that story of living happily ever after. And yes, we can live happily ever after, but just know it takes work to get to the happily ever after, right, honey?
Yes, it does.
Listen, we've been married for 31 years.
And a half.
31 and a half. Yep, we got count everything, y'all. Count everything. 31 and a half years, and we've been working continuously on our happily ever after. So, you know, we have built ourselves in a way that we are committed to the love and the laughter and the structure and
the lasting part.
Yeah, in our agreement, we come to agreement. The power of agreement in our relationship when we made the commitment to be husband and wife. The things that came with it in those vows.
And the vows. A lot of people, as we find and see today, a lot of people that listen to those vows, or they didn't really take them to heart or how seriously they are.
Yeah.
When you say, words are very crucial and real. Our very being was founded on words that the Lord spoke.
Yes.
You know, so He's given us that authority as well to do that.
And speak that into our marriage. And one of the things that we really have to understand is that, you know, the working part of marriage is that, you know, when we come together as husband and wife, a man and woman, to commit to a life of being together, that you're bringing two different backgrounds together, two different people together.
Right, because my upbringing could be totally different than her upbringing.
Yes.
You could have two-parent homes, single-parent homes. You have grandparents who raise their kids.
Someone may be raised without their family at all in foster care.
Right.
And there are all kinds of different backgrounds that are in different lifestyles, in different individual homes, different beliefs.
Right.
Different ways of doing things, the methodology and the way people believe or the way they do certain things in their lives. And, you know, when you're bringing those backgrounds together, it's like, I use the example of it's like you're taking and you're turning and mixing a whole two different things together and whipping it together to make it one.
Right. Well, there's a lot of ingredients in anything that you do, as to say, to make a cake.
Yeah.
How many different ingredients is that you put in to the cake to make it come out what we call perfect, or sometimes it starts to rise and it falls. If somebody come in the kitchen and knock that oven, it couldn't take that knock or that hit or that stomping that they came in with, and it fell.
It fell. And when you fall, you know, in your marriage, when you're working together to make it be that happily ever after, you know, just like he was using the example of the cake, and when someone comes stomping in the kitchen and the cake may fall, that could be your marriage too, where, you know, you're working together and mixing this thing together, trying to make it work, and, you know, someone stomps in the kitchen and it makes
there's so many components
fall.
To make that happen. You can over whip it, mix it.
Put too much sweetening in it.
Not enough sweetener in it.
All of that. There's so many different things that can happen to cause that even to happen in your marital relationship. And so it's so important that you be able to assess the ingredients.
Exactly.
Be able to look at what you're going to, how much am I putting in? Am I taking care to make sure the measurement is properly done?
Right. Am I putting enough in?
Yes.
Am I not putting too much? Always, if you made that mistake once,
yes.
you go back and say, what did I do?
That caused this
because
infraction.
In that you get second chances.
That's right.
If you have enough ingredients to make another one,
whip it up again.
Yeah, let's do it again. Let's do this right. Not saying that we go outside of it, but to work in the same kitchen with the same different ingredients.
Same kitchen. Pull out some ingredients from out of the same bag.
Right.
And use the same
we're not
stuff.
calling it quits right away.
No, we got to go back.
It takes a while. Right.
I'm a master making that cake, honey.
Exactly.
Yeah. And while we're talking about food, let's talk about meat and marinades.
Right. That's a good topic there. We once took a class where marriage couples were in there, and one of the main things they talked about was our marinade. So we know when we make a marinade, there's a lot of things that go into a marinade.
Yes.
Those of you who are cooks out there, when you're seasoning your meats, you put all types of some do bay leaves, some do they're just seasonings, different
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Some use different salts and spices and herbs.
There's secret spices and things that they put in their marinade.
Yeah, and it could be for your turkey, it could be for your barbecue,
right,
it could be for your pork tenderloin, whatever it is that you're cooking. And you can look at your marriage as that meat that you're trying to season.
That is the meat,
and we are, each individual one of us have our own personal marinades.
Right, our marinades that we are made of.
Yes.
And of how they taught us this was that, your marinade, as in part in life, where we were brought up in our homes.
Yes.
We may have seen mom and dad,
yes,
go through some different things and how they
respond.
Right, how they respond. You didn't even wasn't a part of it, but you took it in.
Right.
It became a part of your being.
Right.
How dad was always doing this, and then mom will allow that to be, or mom was doing this, and dad say that was that. So that became a part of your marinade, of what you saw that you thought made a happy home.
Right.
What you thought was that would be our happily ever after if I do it like mom and dad did.
And that's the good part of a marinade, but there are other sides of marinade that could be a challenge in your relationship.
Right.
And you may have experienced or seen some different things that may have been different and created more of a negative response to what was happening. And that happens when you put the heat. That turns into arguments.
Right. When you put that meat in the oven and it starts to cook, then that flavor starts to come out. You smell it. There are no marinades. Those juices are starting to flow. Sometimes that thing would be the hot point that made that thing come out. That negative thing come out.
Right. That's right. But guess what? It's all a part of the workings of the marriage and to make the marriage work. So just know that we're talking about marinades, we're talking about with meat, we're talking about baking cakes and everything, but we want to equate all of that to our relationship and understand that marriage take work. It's going to take time for you to get to know your spouse. Yes, getting married, falling in love is a wonderful thing.
Right.
It is something that everyone should desire, to be loved. I know I did. I desired to be loved, and the Lord blessed me with the love of my life. But in the same token, as you step into these relational boundaries in marriage and building relationships, because we're not only reaching those who are married, but we're also reaching people who are dating, people who are engaged and wanting to, move into the journey of spending their life together with someone, and just understand that it takes work. It takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot because
it takes adjustments.
A lot of people don't, like you just said, you found the love of your life.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how to be the love of someone's life. I mean, for me, I had to grow into that.
I had to learn
because at one time I told her, stop loving me so much because you don't give me room for error, and I didn't like that. I didn't know how to be a husband, so to say. I was being all that I could be. We started out as friends.
That's right.
And that was a very key,
most important. That's an important part about relationships.
Is being friends.
Is learning how to be friends with your spouse. With your spouse.
Because in growing, we started out as friends, and we started as friends in middle school. So that's a long time with knowing someone.
Right.
But you change over the years.
Yes.
Every day you change.
There's changes.
So you're not going to just be the same old 8th grader and 7th grader or 6th grader, especially when you're 50 years old. Plus.
That's right.
Yeah, so,
That's
over the years, as time grew, I was not the same 21-year-old Charles as I was even a 30-year-old Charles and a 40-year-old Charles, because in each of those decades, there was a change.
Yes.
Physically, mentally, all of that,
It changes. Your life changes. And as you grow in learning how to work through the marriage, you learn how to adjust with the changes that come with your spouse. And I'm not saying to settle for negativity or settle for, because there are times and seasons where there are changes that happen in your relationship with your spouse or your fiance or boyfriend or girlfriend.
Right. Wherever you are in that part in your growth.
You encourage them through those changes.
Right.
Because sometimes the changes can be, growing older. Some people don't want to grow older.
Right. And if you have a spouse that's
losing hair.
Losing hair, gaining weight.
Both of us.
Our appearances have changed over the years.
Yes, but it's all good.
Right, I think
I
so.
love it. Oh, this right here, yes indeed. My God. Yeah. I'm loving it. I love the distinguishedness of my husband.
But some people don't even love themselves in their new skins. And, you have to grow into your new skins. Sometimes it's tight. And like Pastor does, it's tight, but it's right.
Yes. Sometimes it's tight and it ain't right.
It's just stank. It's nasty.
But we learn how to even adjust through that, because one of the things that we
and our vows, even not just I would say the ones that we put together ourselves. But at the end, it always comes back to the Word of God part. Say that in for goodness,
for sickness and health, for richer for poor. For better or for worse.
All you gotta count it all up and find yourself in that and find out where you are.
Yes, indeed.
So for better or for worse, for richer for poor, until death do thee part.
Till death do you part, and that's one of the things that we need to understand.
Sometimes I know some people say, "Well, I was about to kill him. I'm about to kill her, so that death did us part." They did the part.
Well, I hope that they didn't do it, and that they wanted to work it out.
So
but definitely, one of the things that we need to understand, that marriage is a lifetime of commitment.
Work. It's work.
It is work. It's commitment, and it's not it's not a reality show.
No.
And I'm gonna say that again. It's not a reality show.
Right. Even with YouTubing and doing what we're doing now.
Yeah. This is our real life.
It's real life.
And what we do is really, honestly.
Right.
We're not
gonna get on here and fuss and fight in front of you all.
No, but we do have disagreements.
We do have disagreements.
But we've learned how to lovingly agree to disagree.
Exactly.
We've learned how to.
If you go to work and disagree with people. You have siblings that you grew up with, at the end of the day, y'all probably fussed and fight, but at the end of the day, you were still siblings.
Yes.
So
we
apply that into our marriage.
Understand how to say, honey, well, I hear what you're saying, but I beg to differ.
Right. And it may not be that day that they say that.
No.
It might be 2 days later when you're not talking or speaking to each other.
Right.
And you come back in and say, hey, I heard what you said, and...
Yeah, but I just beg to disagree.
Right.
And I'm okay with the way you feel and the way and again, that's all about working into the marriage, making sure that your covenant that you made between the two of you and God and commitment to communication stay intact.
Because again, that marinade, that in that disagreement, if you go back and say, well, that's how my mom and dad would have it done that or this and that. That was that marinade that you were used to seeing. Doesn't mean that was the right way.
Exactly.
But that's the way that you were used to seeing it come to pass, and that it was okay. Mom and dad didn't make them.
Maybe it's okay for me. And one of the things that we are in the working part of marriage that Charles and I really worked hard to do is to make sure that we seek God and develop the model that God would have us to have for our marriage, and not saying that what other people did is wrong, but it's just that we want to make sure that God allow us to design the marriage that He wants us to have that works for the two of us.
And that brings us to you today.
Yes. Right. Yes. And that's why we're doing what we're doing now, to let you know that it's okay to have your own structure and your own model. But whatever the structure and the model is, just work it. Yeah. Work it to the glory of God between you and your spouse. Work it so that your family will be blessed. Right. Work it so that your legacy will live even when you're no longer here. Work it so that your children will rise up and call you and your spouse blessed, and be able to see the honor and the respect between you and your spouse, and desire to want to have a marriage that's modeled like yours as they develop their own way and walk with their spouse. You know, so we're just so grateful for you guys today, and understanding that marriage is work.
Yes, it is.
We got to work it.
Put the work in.
Put the work in, baby.
That's it.
We put the work in. We want you to put the work in. So guess what? I want to share something with you. I want you to do an activity. And I will always leave you all with some type of activity to do. It could either be personally for yourself or with your spouse. Yeah. But I want you to just take the time to think about the vows that you've made with your spouse. Right. If you've written them personally for your spouse, for you when you got ready to get married and committed to, or if you're getting ready to get married and you're in the process of writing your vows, think hard and long and pray about those vows. But if you have been married like myself and my husband for 31 and a half years, right, then, think about those vows that you committed.
Right.
Take the time to write them down. It's
good to go back and revisit them.
That's
just
right.
To say it back.
Write them down.
Not in front. It have to be in front of anybody.
Do
like
it
you got to do
yourself.
it, with a renewal of the vows.
That's
it's good
right.
to do that with yourself.
That's right. Write them down. Go back and take a look at them. Look
periodically,
over. Say for the next 7 days, I'm going to look back at my vows and just recite them within myself again, so that I can have a new level of recommitment to my spouse, because I made a commitment. Right. We made a commitment to work together, stay focused on the goals and the commitment and the security and the support that we desire to see between the two of us.
And another thing with that, as you're doing that, a good thing to do, which I know some people bury these memories, go back and pull out your wedding albums or your wedding CDs,
the videos.
Yeah, and take a look at, make that a family night.
Yeah, and just look over them, let them play. Go back
and see how you were back then, and that rekindles some things as well.
Right, and even if you don't get a chance to look at it all the way through, I know one time we pulled out our wedding video and we started looking at it, and I started to cry, because there's so many people on the video that are no longer with me now. And I just, it was hurtful to look at it. It was a joyous occasion, but looking at the video made me, sad. So, but it was just the fact that we got a chance to reminisce for a moment. So take the time to do that, and just really spend some time, really understanding that marriage is work. There is a commitment that you've made to build and walk together in a happiness, love, and unity.
Remember,
with your spouse.
It's your legacy. So go back and take a look at it and love it. Love it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you got into it for.
That's right.
Don't forget.
So understand that marriage is work. The happily ever after will be available for you if you
put in the work.
Put in the work.
Those white picket fences and all that kind of stuff.
All of that good stuff. So we want to thank y'all for tuning in. Yes. And you know what? We want you to always remember that your marriage, it is work. Right. But guess what? You will have an opportunity to live, love, laugh, and learn.
Learn and last.
We got it all.
We always want the last thing to be last.
Live, love, learn, and last. All right. So have a great one.
And love you guys.
Have a great one. We'll see you next week.